Elon Musk has always been the guy that talked the big talk. His plans and goals have always been so out of this world that it seemed unlikely that he'd actually achieve any of them. But if there's one thing he's proven in the past few years, it's that if there's anyone that can reach outlandish goals, it's Elon Musk. His company SpaceX just broke the world record for yearly launches in an insane amount of time, and in this video, we're going to get you up to speed on what happened. First up, SpaceX destroys the record. At the start of 2022, Elon Musk set a very difficult goal of launching at least 52 missions in just a year. Something like this hadn't even been attempted before, so it was a bit of a crazy one to begin with. The plan was revealed by the NASA Safety Advisory Panel back in January. They advised SpaceX to make sure to stay safe even if they increased their pace. Former NASA astronaut Sandy Magnus said, "NASA and SpaceX will have to be watchful during 2022 so that they're not victims of their success." Despite all this, SpaceX managed to follow its schedule and has already broken the record for the most launches in a year, with 32 successful launches already. With 5 months still left in the year, they could very easily reach their goal if everything ends up going to plan. Although if you really think about it, this shouldn't really be a surprise at all, considering the previous record was also by SpaceX themselves. Even then, the company still had a lot to prove, and well, let's just say they've been doing a great job. SpaceX has been increasing their launch cadence steadily every single year. While they had a little dip in 2019, it didn't really affect them that much. In 2021, they became the most prolific American provider ever after they pulled off nearly 31 launches. Although the launch didn't initially go according to plan. Even though it might seem like everything went according to plan, they did have some issues along the way. They originally planned to launch July 22nd's missions on the 21st. The Falcon 9 rocket was supposed to take off SpaceX's Starlink 3-2 mission at exactly 10:39 a.m. on the 21st of July, from a foggy launch pad at Vandenberg to a military spaceport that was around 140 miles northwest of Los Angeles. But they ended up stopping the countdown altogether after an abort was triggered. What's worse is that the abort was triggered just a minute before takeoff, so it would have been way too risky to continue. They never really reveal the reason behind the abort itself, but people think it was because of the weather conditions. The last time something like this happened to SpaceX was back in December of 2020 on a launch from Florida at the National Reconnaissance Office. The SpaceX engineers realized there was an unexpected pressure reading in the Falcon 9's upper stage liquid tank. They had to lower the rocket and lay it horizontally in order to fix the issue. They then launched the missions a couple of days later. There have been multiple mission aborts in the past, but none of them happened a minute before takeoff. Because of this, many people have been questioning if SpaceX is actually taking safety precautions seriously or not. Fortunately for this particular mission, they were able to continue like normal the day after. Up next, the Starlink takeover. Most of SpaceX's 2022 missions have been centered around Starlink, the firm's consumer internet service that operates on troves of orbiting satellites. SpaceX has been expanding its satellites since they began launching batches of Starlinks in mid-2019. According to their official statement at a recent conference, the constellation already has more than 2,200 satellites in orbit and 250,000 members worldwide as of March. SpaceX has also 2 new rockets that are capable of competing against their Falcons. These are supposed to debut in the next year or so. With these new rockets, the number of satellites to be launched could nearly double over the next couple of years or so. While it might seem like an advancement that will be able to launch so much into space and learn more, this could actually cause a lot of damage instead. With so many satellites in space, there's a chance they could collide and create debris. Some people even think this could create space junk, which could affect Earth. Now on to other important news. First up, Russia will build their own space station. It was just announced that Moscow, Russia, will be leaving the International Space Station in 2024 and focusing on developing its own space station. Russia's new space commander announced this on Tuesday, while tensions between Moscow and the West were at their all-time high over the conflict in Ukraine. While this news isn't really surprising, calls into question the 24-year-old space station's survival, with experts claiming it would be basically impossible to keep it working without Russian assistance. NASA and its partners wanted to keep it running until 2030. This space station has been a symbol of international cooperation after the Cold War in the interest of research, but it is now one of the United States and Russia's only areas of cooperation. NASA officials stated that they had yet to get a straight response from the Russian counterparts on the topic. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said in a statement that the agency is committed to the safe operation of the space station until 2030, and that they will continue to create future capabilities to guarantee their substantial presence in low Earth orbit. Next up, the impact of the James Webb Space Telescope. It's just been 2 weeks since the Webb Space Telescope was unveiled, and it's already impacting how we see our solar system. While technology is advancing at a rapid pace, our generation will probably never get to go to space or explore any of its mysteries. But with this telescope, we'll get to see distant galaxies and planets in detail without ever leaving the planet. They've already taken a picture of what they believe to be the oldest galaxy ever, or at least the oldest one that's ever been imaged. It is estimated to be 13.5 billion years old, which is is just 300 million years after the Big Bang. For context, the Earth was formed 9 billion years after the Big Bang, so this galaxy is old. Not only is this galaxy old, it's almost the most distant starlight anyone has ever seen before. Since this, as well as other galaxies, are so distant, by the time their light reaches us, everyone will probably be dead. And with climate change, it's safe to say the world doesn't really have much time left. Considering they've already found the oldest galaxy imaged in just 2 weeks, we're probably in for some more cool discoveries in the future with this thing. Also, a 21-ton Chinese rocket is falling straight toward Earth. On the 24th of July, China launched a 21-ton long March 5B rocket was launched into space. Experts are afraid this rocket might fail to fully burn up when it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. If this happens, then it'll plummet straight onto the surface at full speed, and no one knows where it'll land. It could be an inhabited land or a complete city. Either way, there will be a lot of destruction. Even though it's pretty unlikely that the rocket will actually land in a place with people, experts still think they're taking a huge risk unnecessarily. The country's newest rocket launched over the weekend from the Wenchang launch facility on the southern island state of Hainan. It was transporting the Wentian Experimental Module, a solar-powered experimental lab that will be added to China's expanding Tiangong space station. Experts are concerned that pieces of the rocket's core stage might fall to Earth, similar to China's launch in May, which left debris dispersed all across the Indian Ocean. The rocket's first stage was lost during the launch and will continue to orbit the Earth for the next few days before falling back to the surface. Experts claim its flight path is difficult to anticipate due to atmospheric changes induced by changes in solar activity. Keeping with the craziness, James Webb's Space Telescope was damaged by a space rock. The James Webb Space Telescope is the only thing that's been on the news ever since it was unveiled, and it's already made some crazy discoveries like the oldest galaxy in the world in just 2 weeks. However, the telescope has already been permanently damaged by tiny space rocks. They've dented the 18 gold-plated mirrors after the rocks pelted into them. Even though there was barely any damage, this was still a huge deal considering the telescope was for $10 billion. On top of that, it only came out like 2-ish weeks ago and already has irreversible damage, meaning it's only going to get worse in the future and pretty soon. These rocks are nearly impossible to monitor because of their extremely small size. Fortunately, this hasn't caused the telescope performance to falter its performance at all, but that doesn't mean it won't get damaged any further by a bigger rock in the future. That's a wrap for today's video. Do you think this record will be broken anytime soon? Make sure to let us know in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and click the subscribe button for more videos like this one. We'll see you the next time.